Bearcat Bounce podcast. Back at it again, and it's a Monday. It's a Monday green beer, Monday Guinness, Monday Irish dancing, Monday not Notre Dame fighting Irish, but Irish, if you will, Irish. But that's another thing. It's a Monday where I get to continue talking about Bearcat basketball. It's not over. The bracket was revealed last night, Selection Sunday. Used to be my favorite day of the year. It still kind of is, but in a bad way now. But instead, it was a bracket reveal today, this morning at 9:40 a.m. that showed me, hey, Bearcat season is not quite over. A little thing called the Crown, playing on April 1st. Don't be fooled. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to also get a quick touch on what Chad was able to see at practice on Friday for the football spring practices. They're on spring break now this week. But it's a beautiful Monday where one of our fellow patrons, one of our fellow crew members is gone. He's driving a brand new car all the way home from Philadelphia. Wild man, absolutely wild man. So there's only three of us today, but we're gonna come strong. We're gonna come mighty. Without further ado, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, gentlemen, how are we?
I'm good. Here's my question. Philadelphia is like 8 hours away, right? 8.5 hours away.
Fair.
Ryan couldn't have left this morning and been home in time for the BBP.
Depends on how you were buying the car. If you were buying the car and had to go either to the bank to get it signed over and have it.
Yeah.
It's a 9-hour drive.
Or if you were at the dealership, you ever been to the dealership? The dealership is not quick. There is no quick process at a dealership. You can't say I'm buying that car and they're like, "Oh, okay. Here's cash or card."
Work to be done. Work to be done.
There is. I tell you what though. It is St. Patrick's Day. So maybe buying a new car in Philadelphia and having to drive it home. I know he was in Boston for a little St. Patrick's Day celebration. I mean,
right. I think if there was there's a way. He could have made it home by 8 o'clock. He says he's going to try to call in from his new car. He's going to wreck his new car while podcasting on St. Patrick's Day.
Yes. Or maybe my boy just spent a little bit longer in Boston enjoying a little St. Patrick's Day.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're if he wanted to, he would.
Yeah.
If he wanted to be here, he would.
Wills away goes multiple ways. That's a good way to put it.
But I'm good. Home from a volleyball weekend. Aaron and I had a little surprise live show last night. Talked about some things, and Kelsey was off today, so kind of a chill Monday. She had volleyball practice, but other than that, had some steak sandwiches for dinner.
Ooh, no corned beef, no cabbage, no.
I'm German, so I don't pretend to be Irish one day a year like some of you guys.
That's fine.
Brent O. Young. You didn't change your name on the screen.
Oh, that's Aaron's job. I'm sure I'll get on it here soon. But no, do you remember when I went to that wedding in Ireland?
Yeah.
That got this hat there. Everyone in the wedding party got an Irish hattie cap. It was a beautiful, beautiful time out there in Donegal. So yeah, I might not be Irish, but I got a little Irish in me, if you will. So fair enough. The Brentio Young is here live. Yeah. Aaron, how are you, man? How was your weekend? How's your St. Patty's Day going?
Weekend was fine. I mean, got outside a little bit with the girls and got to play in some of the sunshine. We did have some storms roll through, but we still got out a little bit. More Friday than Saturday, but just enjoyed a little bit. Basically, one last weekend before baseball's in full swing with the boys, and our days are about to get occupied by plenty of baseball time.
There we go. It'd be fun though.
Sure.
Baseball is a nice, easy one to take in.
Yeah, we got
Maybe
one on JV, one on 10U. So, yeah,
moving on up.
Yeah.
You are celebrating St. Patty's. Oh, go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I will give Kelsey and her team a shout. They finished second in the silver division at the tournament in Louisville over the weekend. Had a big win Sunday morning. Tough loss in the championship on in the second game Sunday in the finals, but they did good. It's a good weekend. She got she got voted MVP. They have a team mascot, which is just a baby stuffed sloth. And she was voted MVP, which means the stuffed baby sloth is at our house for the week.
Wow.
Yeah.
A traveling MVP trophy. I love that idea.
Wow. Now, apparently, I have to go out and buy it clothes. It's got to have a new outfit on for this weekend.
What are you going to put on it? That's the big question.
I don't know. I'm going to have to get on Amazon in the morning and find something for the baby sloth to wear.
Probably give it a crown. What would you say?
Yeah, baby sloth crown.
Yeah.
King or queen sloth.
I'm liking it. She can hold on to it until April 1st. How about that?
Yeah.
A long ways away, but hey, what if she keeps winning it? Bring it home. Well, guys, Aaron, cheers to you. Happy St. Patty's Day. Let's have a show. And get rocking, get rolling. So, one crazy thing about our boy Ryan Royer driving all the way home from Philadelphia is like you buy a new car, you immediately put 560 some miles on it. You got to head straight to Danco Transmission Auto Care. Literally, immediately head there. Immediately say, listen, I need to get this car. Just a quick look to make sure I didn't buy something reckless. Just need to make sure I have something that can get me from A to B. And that A to B is a long ways away for him. And Danco Transmission Auto Care will check it out. Just tell Danco Joe that Chad sent you. Tell him Aaron sent you. Tell him that Las Vegas, April 1st, the Crown sent you. Get you $10 off the next oil change, 10% off your next fixing over at Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Well, guys, as I mentioned, selection show for the big tournament, the one we all hope to dance in soon, was last night. And then Chad, if you follow Chad on his old X.com, the Everything app, he leaked. Oh, wow, we had the first Crown leak before the tournament was completely exposed, and that the Bearcats would be participating. Obviously, the Crown has been a hot and heavy discussion over just for numerous reasons, but Bearcats will be playing April 1st. No, that is not. Do not be fooled when you wake up and you say, wow, what is this? The Bearcats are playing today. No, it's not an April Fool's Day joke. It is a true life game against the DePaul Blue Demons, team that we're all too familiar with from back in the Conference USA Big East days. So a team with Chris Holtman at coach, and a team that I'm sure we'll have somewhat of a discussion about a couple Mondays from now. But I guess, Chad, what were kind of the moments leading up to it? Because obviously it was a kind of a weird scenario where, and some people on the board kind of, I was reading through, it seemed like maybe they kind of cracked the code a little bit on why certain Big 12 teams were kind of declining and certain ones were accepting. I don't know. The whole thing, obviously it's year one being run, but the whole thing kind of is an interesting first season. But Bearcats will be playing in it April 1st, 3 p.m. But kind of how were the chain of events that you kind of leading up to just, hey, are they going to be playing in it? What's the particulars, this, that, and the other?
I mean, pretty simple. I don't think they wanted to play in it. Like, I think if they had the choice of just being done, they would like to have been done. But the conference was, from my understanding, pretty adamant about getting their teams to play. I I'm guessing it's probably a little bit easier for teams that are legacied into the conference to say no, and teams that are newer to the conference, when the commissioner calls and says, hey, we're going to need you to pack your bags for Vegas at the end of the month, you don't have as much wiggle room as maybe you would otherwise. So I think that was a lot of it. Also, from my understanding, the team, for the most part, wanted to play. Like, that was going to be something that determining, like, do they have 7 guys or more? You ask the guys if they want to play. If 7 or more say they want to play, you're pretty much headed for Vegas. So, I think those were probably the two main factors. Is, is the team going to be the team that we saw in the Big 12 tournament? No, I don't think so. Right. I will reiterate what Keegan put in his article this morning. Somewhere between 7, 8, 9 guys, depending on a couple, maybes to see. But that's kind of the gist of it. Is the conference really wanted people to play. I mean, if you're looking at the tournament, the large majority of this tournament is Big 10, Big East, Big 12. Although I'm guessing Fox is pretty pissed at the Big 10.
Yeah.
Because they did not jump all in quite like the Big 12 and the Big East did. I mean, I get it from Indiana's perspective. They're going to be looking for a new coach. I guess Ohio State said they had a bunch of guys that have been sick.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, it's 2 weeks away, so
sick.
I mean, I guess it's an excuse, if you will, but I don't know. For me, more so, it's just the timing is just off, and I get kind of the gist of it, where it's like, okay, you end the Elite Eight of the NCAA tournament, and you've got that week off before the Final Four. No games being played, obviously, on that Thursday and Friday of that week. And so it's, if you do have a group of college basketball diehards, which we are in this room, which, we're Bearcat diehards as well. So then you might say, hey, a couple extra eyes on heading over to FS1 and then Fox on that week leading up to the Final Four. And so there is an opportunity to kind of hit at that time. I guess the main question then is, and Aaron, I want to get your thoughts on the Crown, because it's finally official. So I want you to pour it all out. But I guess the main bugaboo that a lot of fan bases and a lot of, you see people on X and whatnot talking about is just that time period in between, and where it's, obviously the portal opens, and, teams will be looking to be active recruiting and whatnot. And so I guess somewhat of this being a distraction to that whole entire process is kind of the underlining story in the midst of what is yet again another postseason tournament that's not the NCAA tournament. Is that kind of something that you see as an obstacle, or is it just kind of a situation where teams have had to do this anyway if they're in the NIT or the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to see some noise circle around. It happens at this time of the year. I'll believe it changes when it happens, where the portal shouldn't open until at least after the Elite Eight. Like, having it open Monday after the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
There's just so many teams, more than a handful of NIT teams still playing, 16 teams playing in the NCAA tournament. Now you have all 16 teams playing in the Crown. So what, 30, 40, 45, 40, whatever, 45 teams that are still actively competing. Like, it just, there's not, like in football, you're kind of stuck, right? Because you're in that window where, like, if guys are going to participate in spring practice, if guys are going to get into the off-season program, like, they have to get done quick, right? But the basketball off-season, for all intents and purposes, doesn't start until June. So if you're not in a rush then why are you in a hurry? Does that make sense? Like, there's not a rush to get this thing the 1 month. Like, even if you started, the portal opens, March 31st or whatever, you would still be going like April, the last day of April or whatever, the portal would close. And then you would have the entire month of May for kids to make their decisions, get enrolled in school, and be ready to go by when the summer program starts in June. So why are we in a hurry? Like, guys are going to announce their intention to enter the portal. That's not going to change anything. But why are we in such a hurry that we're not doing what's right for the system, and we're now giving the advantage to teams that aren't playing? Like, right. I think that's dumb. Like, I again, in football, I get it, because you have got to get these guys enrolled and started in class by like the second weekend of January. There is a finite timeline on making that happen. It just doesn't exist in basketball. So I don't get why they're trying to cram everything in to as small a window as possible when they don't have to. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean the timeline this week, and I mean this year is kind of weird too, with obviously all the other storylines arising outside of the NIL and the changes and rev share and whatnot. So it's going to be somewhat of a mess overall. So I get the side of like, okay, if you are a team that needs to kind of do somewhat of a rebuild and kind of really focus on what needs to happen and as quickly as possible, then I get that side of things as well. When other teams, if you're in the NCAA tournament making the Elite Eight, you probably have a pretty stable, scenario going on. I mean, last year we saw in the NIT, you make a little mini run, you play against Indiana State, and I mean the talks and the hopes around it was, oh wow, I mean we didn't necessarily need to recruit a lot during that time because we have a pretty solid looking returning roster. That ended up not being the case, but it's just a weird way to approach things, but I think the timing is a little off on the Crown. But hey, TV deal is going to make money when they make money. But Aaron, it's official. DePaul, the Blue Demons, your favorite team growing up. I heard you're a big DeJuan Wagner guy.
Nope.
No, not the maybe, but
Nope.
what are your thoughts on everything now that it's official?
I hate it. It is what it is. Whatever. It's almost an afterthought. Like just with where it is, and like I get what they were trying to do, but I don't know that anybody outside of us are really going to be tuned into this thing. You got your people who are fanatical, but I feel like even some of the fans are out on it. I don't know what the makeup of this team is going to be. That's still being kept behind a curtain, and
it's because they don't know yet. They're not keeping a secret.
Well, I mean, regardless of what the reason is, we don't even know what team. It's hard to be excited, I guess, because you don't know what the team is that even is going to line up out there, other than the fact that it's going to be wearing a C-Paul. It's just, I don't know. I think I hate all of it. It's been a crummy season. I can't wait for it to be over. And I look forward to the off season. So it's just hard to get up for a new tournament that the timing of it is in a very strange place, and who knows what this team holds with where we're at.
Real quick, I do want to just say DeJuan Wagner went to Memphis. That's how much I really could care less about the DePaul Blue Demons. Quentin Richardson, that was what I was looking for there. Yeah. And then of course Bobby Simmons, another NBA guy that Bearcats used to play. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Do you see this being like the first year they see it, and if like it really crashes and burns, they kind of throw it away, or you think this is something that is here to stay? Because I mean, obviously Fox is just throwing it out there, and I don't know if it's something that they have like signed a multiple year agreement with all the conferences, or kind of what exactly it pertains to. Because this has like been the strangest little rise to figuring out what teams can come and what teams can't. Because you hear you're contractually obligated. That was the main key buzz phrase around it for a long time, and then you see teams turning it down, and now you see, okay, there might be some sort of fine print thing going on there. Just the whole thing to me was just kind of a weird scenario where a little messy. But I don't know if is this a multi-year thing where Fox is trying to do it, or I don't even
think there's a multi-year thing that, I mean, they're going to try it at least more than once, I would think. Here's the big difference that I think is interesting. Like the NIT has now become kind of a mid-major tournament. Like there's only 4 Power 5 programs in the NIT. And there's 11 of the 16 in the Crown. So you've kind of split the 2 tournaments apart. You've made the NIT kind of the mid-major tournament. The Oklahoma State was interesting. That Oklahoma State's in the NIT and were they not invited to the Crown?
Right, but Colorado was.
Colorado was.
See, that's where I think the whole Aaron, I know it's St. Patrick's Day, so you're not going to put aluminum tinfoil on your head, but that's where the new teams coming in to the Big 12 thing kind of like Oklahoma State. Why are they, like you said, they clearly have better, they have to have better net and KPI and whatever it is.
They were down there near Colorado for most of the season.
Right. I don't know if that Colorado win against, maybe the win against West Virginia and then the hard-fought game against Houston really boosted them up enough to push them over. But I don't know. It's just
they're hosting Wichita State though in the NIT, so I mean at least they get a home game out of it. I guess maybe that's something you can say for it. I don't know. I mean, it depends on how
actually
high.
Brent.
Yeah.
Colorado and Ken Pom finished at 81. Oklahoma State finished at 100.
Yeah. Well,
so Oklahoma State was last in the conference in Ken Pom.
Ken Pom. I mean,
I'm not even going to sting a little bit more.
I can't believe I'm about to look up the net rankings for freaking Oklahoma State right now. What are we freaking doing? Like, I mean, this is bonkers. But yeah, it just, I'll be interested to see how it goes. Is it going to be something that, has a decent, I can't imagine there will be many people in the stands there. I know they said that they threw out offers to a lot of, NBA. Well, I feel like a lot of NBA scouts would jump at the opportunity to, Colorado 86th in the net, Oklahoma State 95. So tell you what, Colorado,
go Buffs.
The Buffs must have flown up there, man. But yeah, I don't know. It's 2 weeks away. We'll touch on it a little bit more when it comes to that day before the first game. Aaron will give you a in-depth scouting report on DePaul.
Can't wait.
And Chris Holtman.
Aaron's got between now and in 2 weeks, Aaron's gonna have to watch some DePaul tape, some game tape.
Yeah,
and get him.
That's right.
We're gonna have him breaking down some game tape here in 2 weeks.
The funniest part is, like, you say that as a joke, but with the amount of players that might be entering the portal on these teams, it's like you could just throw that game tape out. Like, I feel like it'll just be like who are we? Oh, look, this is a lineup with 4 players that will not be even coming to Las Vegas on the court at the same time. So,
Cincinnati. DePaul, I saw today. DePaul is the 8th. UC and DePaul have played the 8th most times in UC history. Like, of all the teams Cincinnati's played the most, DePaul is 8th. So they were in the Great Midwest together and obviously in the Big East together. Were they in Conference USA?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure they were.
Yeah. Gosh, how about that? I mean, they've got a wild list of coaches.
I would think they would
have
have to be if they're number 8 on that list.
Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, I didn't look back to see how far it goes, but yeah. But they were together conference mates for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they went. Let's see here: Independent, Great Midwest, Conference USA, Big East, and then Big East. So,
yeah,
Chris Holtman taking over for Tony Stubblefield. How about that name? A little blast from the past there for you, Chad. So
my guy, love Stubbs.
Gotta love Stubbs. A lot more to come on that. I guess the next question then becomes: I mean, obviously, we don't want to throw away the whole ending to the season. You guys obviously had some good little nightcaps, and I mean, a 76-56 loss to Iowa State. The game was what it was. You know what, it's one of those where it's like, okay, it was close kind of in the second half, and then all of a sudden Iowa State blew it out. But that's going to be a game that's like heavily in the rearview mirror when April 1st rolls around. So kind of tying a bow on the regular season / Big 12 tournament. I guess with this layoff, with the portal opening up next week, what is your stance as far as, Chad, you kind of mentioned the different players that, you kind of feel certain ways about and on the board. So go check that out there if you would want. But Aaron, are you still in the stance of blow it up? And, I know that you've taken that kind of drastic stance, which is, I think, what a lot of people fan wise are taking.
Aaron taking an opinion all the way to the extreme? No.
Right. But
I don't. You cannot have more than 2 starters on this team returning. You cannot have more than, truthfully, I don't think you can bring back more than 5 people on this team and hope that it's better somehow. That just seems like crazy talk to me. So
you could bring back 5 people and add 10 new players. You could bring back 6 people and add 9 new players. To say that they can't turn over the roster because they brought back 6 or 7 people, it's crazy talk. Of course you can.
I think they need to bring back like 12 new players. That's my opinion. And I don't think that's. I think you can win that way.
It's crazy talk.
No, it's not.
Okay.
West Virginia should have made the tournament.
But that wasn't their choice. Their coach got fired and the whole team left. They didn't choose to add 12 new players. They had to add 12 new players. That's a whole different.
I think we have to add 12 new players. The team stinks.
Okay.
I think that you've got to have a mix. I'm with you, Aaron, though. You can't run it back with saying, like, our top of the roster, let's run it back with them and try and put pieces in next to them. I'll agree there.
That from the start. You got to, your starting lineup has to look drastically different than it did in 2025. Like the top of the roster is the concern. The bottom of the roster, the middle of the roster is what it is. The guys that are getting the most minutes are where the change has to occur.
Yeah. And also, Aaron, those teams, that are kind of these like quick turnaround teams, it's normally like staffs that are new onto a program or ones that like kind of fell into a lot of extra additional funds available to them that they then were all of a sudden able to piece together crazy rosters with this, that, and the other. But with this one, you kind of have to mix it both ways. I'm definitely in the stance of taking both of your guys' approaches, which that'll kind of trickle down more as we see who.
You take both.
He's just
pieces of it.
So hard.
Like, no, pieces of it. I completely. What are we here to? No. We are singing Kumbaya, Bearcat 101. I agree. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see the names that do trickle in. As far as the them playing in the crown, I know that the opportunity is there. I don't love that idea, but if you have to field 7 to go to Las Vegas, then I guess do it. But a big thing that kind of helps the Bearcats in this stance is the fact that, hey, you do have someone that can kind of be active that you guys alluded to last night on the live nightcap. So that's something that is a bit of a luxury, potential GM addition. And that's an exciting storyline to track as well on that side of things. So a lot more to come as far as the college basketball scene opens up. And I don't know, Chad, not quite sure when you think spring break falls on a weird time for all the scenarios. Yeah, right now. So it's like, okay, what's going to turn to next? I guess there's not quite.
I mean, you got a couple good questions. Sitting back here, when did the portal news start to trickle out? Last year, if I recall correctly, the first, but I don't remember the day that the portal opened. I think Vic was the first one to go in on April 1st. And then Jamil was like a day or two later.
Yeah.
Jamil was didn't get
April 2nd officially, yeah.
Yeah.
He declared for the draft today.
Me too.
Oh, Jamil. Yeah.
Me too. And then I don't think there was a commitment. Well, Connor happened fairly quickly, but I think it was like the first week of April, something along there.
Connor entered March 26th, and
when he committed
on April 15th.
Yeah, so like the end of the second week of April.
Yep.
Paige committed somewhere around then as well, a little like a day or two after that, and then Dylan was more towards the end. So
April 6th, and then I think Dylan was in mid-May.
Yeah. So things didn't really like move until later. But remember, we talked about last year, it felt like the first 2 years of the portal, things happened fast. Felt like last year was slow play. This year, it's going to be interesting because of the house case supposed to go into like be accepted or whatever the terminology is that ratified, whatever. April 7th.
Yeah.
There is some thought that people are going to want to spend some of that NIL war chest before April 7th. That's speculation. That's not, nobody knows for sure that that's how that's going to happen, because I also think that like when it gets put into effect, I think there's going to be a date, like it starts this day, not okay, we reached a settlement, it starts today. I don't think that's how it's going to play out. So once again, we're going into a window that nobody knows how anything's going to work because we've never done a window like this before. So will it be like last year where things kind of slow played, or will it be like 2 years ago where the guys were going in the portal and then like 3 hours later committing to a school?
Yeah.
So, or is it going to be somewhere in between? Like that's the part that is difficult here.
It is.
Nobody's sad, Bearcat 101. Aaron's usually angry at something. That's his general tone. That's not sad. That's just Aaron. Brent does feel a little sad tonight.
Because I am
a little sad tonight.
I am. Because
you're bringing down the tone of the show.
Every
the
year,
vibe is different.
It is a little down. Well, first off, Royer isn't here. Second off,
alcohol's a depressant.
Yeah. Second off, putting St. Patrick's Day on a Monday, which opens the door for a weekend-long celebration. Boy, it just kicks your butt when Monday rolls around. So, and we're here.
Boy.
We're live. But, and also, I am sick and tired of not playing in the big dance, to be honest with you. So, talking about the crown is it is what it is. You know, let's go out and win the damn thing. If it's a tournament, we're playing in it. Might as well win the damn tournament, right? So
if they're going to keep score, we want to win.
There we go.
101 also said, what does the GM have a role during the season? Talent evaluation. You're constantly looking at high school kids that are potentially going to enter the portal, the standard things that are associated with making your team consistently better. Obviously, unlike the pro model, you're not working the phone on trades yet. At some point in time, I wouldn't be surprised if that enters into the lexicon of college basketball.
It could be possible.
Well, yeah, like especially like Christmas break, like that's the trade deadline is January 1st. Like you make a trade and you get the guy enrolled for the second semester, and you start conference play with a new stud big man, something along those lines. Like I wouldn't rule it out. Anything's possible. If you would have sat here and told us 5-6 years ago that this is where we'd be and what we'd be talking about, like you would have been like, I don't know, man, that seems a little far-fetched. The schools are going to pay the players and there's no transfer restrictions and, you know, like all the different things. Like nobody would have believed you.
You could have 5 years of eligibility. Oh, really? And there was a global pandemic that led to numerous players having 6 years of eligibility. What?
Yeah. We're getting to it now, 101. The GM is always going to be scouring for players, talking to the biggest thing right now, and I don't think it has gotten really enough like conversation on the national stage, is how prominent the agents are now. Like it used to be like the AAU coach or like the handler or the trainer. Now the agents are running essentially the entire sport.
Yeah.
So
which is another thing to think about is like how you can legally have an agent as player. Like
that is out there representing you all the time. Right?
Yeah.
Like the player can't talk to anybody they want, but the agent talks to everybody. So the agents are essentially running the sport. That does not get talked about enough, but it's happening. So that's a lot of what I would assume, because this GM job is very new still, but keeping lines of communication open. And like this time of year, you know what is happening a lot, Brent?
Yeah.
People like the GMs are helping the agents get connected to players, and then in return the player goes back to the coach that helped make the connection. Like it's all very heavily intertwined. So
everything that was illegal is now legal, and the GM pretty much is in charge of doing everything that was illegal back in the day. So now,
except for buying cheeseburgers for kids, you still can't do that.
Well, technically,
no, you can now. You're allowed now. You can buy them, but they have to pay you back.
It just can't be during like hosting them during a global pandemic. Like that would be a no probably still. So.
Well, no, like Bruce Pearl, like had Aaron Kraft at a barbecue.
Yeah.
And Aaron Kraft ate a cheeseburger, and that got Bruce Pearl fired from Tennessee.
I thought he was referencing the Michigan Harbaugh.
Okay.
I was referencing Michigan.
Well, both are fine now. Both are.
Well, it's like Kelvin Sampson got fired from Indiana for making
text messages.
Illegal, impermissible contact, and now it's all permissible. You can text and call and do whatever, whenever you want, wherever you want, however you want. Yeah.
What was it? A big ass offer?
Fat ass. Strong ass offer. Will we see GMs on the bench? Do you see GMs on the bench now? When you look around the NBA, are the GMs on the bench? No, they're up in the box. They're in the box seats, hanging out. You don't like the Bengals don't have a GM, so I don't have any point of reference there. But Howie Roseman's not hanging out next to Andy Reid or Sirianni. Sorry, Nick Sirianni down on the sidelines at Eagles games.
No.
Mike Bone missed his calling.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
So, Chad, do you think
Come on up here. We got a whole box.
Free food? It's tasty. Cold drinks. Chad.
Apparently, his big thing was he used to like to pound on the glass when he was mad at officials. He'd pound on the glass in the suite.
That's when you knew.
The AD box.
That's when you knew.
Can't believe they gave me the keys to this place. That's crazy.
It's fun. So
Dave's not here. Dave, it's me, man. Dave's not here.
Okay.
I don't know if I've ever told that story on a podcast.
Are we letting it rip? It is St. Patrick's Day.
I can't. I think it might have been after UC played UCLA at Fifth Third Arena. UC blew them out, and we're sitting in the media room waiting for the post-game press conferences.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Bone, you have to be kind of older. You got to be probably my age. You guys probably won't know this,
right?
But Mike Bone breaks into a Cheech and Chong comedy special routine.
Oh my god!
Just standing in the middle of the media room.
Okay.
And the premise of the comedy routine, tickle in my throat, is Cheech is in the house and Chong is outside of the house knocking on the door, and he would knock on the door and Cheech would go, "Who is it?" And Chong would go, "It's Dave." And Cheech, "It's Dave's not here, man." You go, "No, it's me. It's Dave, man. Open the door. Dave's not here, man." Like, and he went on for like 15 minutes. Like,
all by himself?
All by himself. He did one-man stand-up comedy show.
Wow.
Cheech and Chong.
Waiting for Mick?
Like, waiting for Mick to come in after they had, Like,
could he have legally driven a car at that moment?
I don't know, man, but my face hurt so bad from laughing because most of the people in those rooms are pretty young, right? You're talking like interns, and like nobody had any clue what he was doing.
Right.
But me. I oh my God, I was crying laughing. It was so funny.
Did he say anything?
He's not here, man. What?
Like after he was done, did he say anything? Was he like, "Oh,
no, he was proud. He was very proud of himself. Like he got done and was like, nailed it.
Love it.
No, man, it's me. It's Dave. Dave's not here, man.
I love it. Well, and if you want to know more about the Bone Zone, go check out Justin Williams' Day in the Bone Zone. That was quite a trip in Marshall.
Brent's not here, man.
No, absolutely not.
No, it's me. It's Brent.
No, you're here. Guys. It could be a little different, though. Do you think the GM role will be a little bit different on the basketball side compared to the football side? Obviously, the numbers on a roster are just a lot higher than what it is. But as far as kind of just the entire build of a roster, would you think in college basketball the coaching staff would have a little bit more say? Where in football you're seeing a lot of cases where it's truly the GM and his staff cobbling together the roster, and then the coach coming in and coaching up that roster.
I don't know. I think it's probably more interesting to see how separated the GM and the head coach end up being, because I think that's going to be where you find out the answer to your question. If a head coach leaves for another job or gets fired, does the GM stick around? Is it the GM's philosophy now? Is he recruiting or hiring a head coach to fit his philosophy, as opposed to finding a head coach based on who's potentially best fitted for the job? Is the roster going to remain intact because they're tied more to the GM than the head coach? These are all the things that I'm very, very curious and wanting to keep an eye on, because I think that's going to be extremely telling as to where this sport is going to be heading over the course of the next decade.
Right. Like, is the coach a layer between the GM and the head coach? Like the GM or like the AD and the head
AD,
coach,
yeah.
like the GM is here, or is it head coach GM and the AD is up here? Like, what's the stack?
That
What order do you make the sandwich?
You can't exist next to each other.
No, because that means if one's fired, both are fired.
Right.
But they're going to have different contracts. So that's not like, are you only going to sign the AD to a contract that mirrors the coach's contract? And then what happens if you have to fire the coach? You then have to fire the AD. And guess what? The AD is going to have a buyout. So now if you fire the coach, do you have to fire the AD? Now you got to pay a buyout for both. Like, it's going to be, like I said last night, Brent, there is a belief on the football side that the GM is going to be the decision maker sooner than later.
Right.
Above the coach. Like the NFL model, like owner, GM, head coach, it'll be AD, GM, head coach.
Yeah.
And then as Aaron said, that puts you at a point where you look at your AD and you go, so what exactly is it that you do here?
Right.
What would you say you do here?
On a daily, can you email me by Monday the 5 things that you accomplished this week?
CPS reports.
Yeah. I was going with an Elon Musk joke.
I know.
You took
steering
away
from politics.
Took the office space route. I like it. Yeah, because I can imagine right now it's just truly a recruiting tool, like, gathering a list of players that fit a certain amount of NIL to go on this roster and fit with this guy who requires this amount of NIL, and going through different avenues that you have connected wise to build the roster. But yeah, I mean, if it gets to the point where they are higher than the coach, it'll be. I mean, it is trending that way, so it's not really that crazy to think of. But
yeah, it's not that it's out of the realm of possibility. It is absolutely in the realm of possibility. Absolutely.
I guess the owner would be the AD would be technically the owner, but then what's
like in the hierarchy?
Yeah, it's like,
well, like I guess the president of the school or the board would be the owner, and then the AD would be like the president of operations, and then the GM would be the GM, and then the head coach would be the head coach.
Makes the AD awfully untouchable, though, if that's the case.
Yeah, because the AD would just say, the GM hired this guy. My name's Bennett. I ain't in it. My name's Paul. That's between y'all.
I love it. Gosh, on fire, Chad. Aaron, Chad, you can say pass if you don't want to, but this is my last question of basketball, because obviously I'm kind of. Oh, Nick, I agree. Donors are the owners, more than likely.
They're not. They don't get to make the call. Like,
right.
They
but
get
like down the line, though, you know what I mean? It's like
depends on how big the donor is.
Yeah.
They
get influence, of course. That's what they pay for.
Yeah. But if you had to guess, would you say within the next week, before the portal opens up, you might see news trickle out of the current roster that the Bearcats have, or do you think it's going to kind of be a little bit longer than that with accepting the crown? Last question that I have as it pertains to that, and then we can timestamp this and move on.
Are practices open?
I don't know, because we haven't gotten there yet.
That would be telling.
I mean, they're not practicing right now. They're on spring break. They probably won't practice until next week. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the roster looks like. It'll be interesting. I have an idea. I mean, I just a guess from my part. I would think Jizzle and Day play. I think Josh Reed plays. I've heard some rumblings from outside the program that Tyler Betsy would stay and play. I don't think that would make the decision on whether or not he would enter the portal, but my understanding is he is interested in coming back to play. Ray and Halveen, I could see playing. And then you would have your seniors, CMOS, like what is the situation with the shoulder?
Right.
How far away from healthy is he? Aziz, I would think, plays. And then, Dylan, Dan, like that group, I think they've got decisions to make.
Yeah. Aaron, you along that path? I think your comment about
hate
practice
all of it. Hate all of it.
kind of head on. Yeah. I think obviously Keegan's been posting a few things on the board about, the certain players taking things off there. Social media is just crazy these days, which anyone could do anything they want to their profile and move from there. But I don't know. It's a fun time where the board will be filled with people saying, "Oh, Coach X followed this player and Coach Y followed that guy," and so it'll be something to track on. And then, hey, portal season's here. Sadly, we aren't here talking about first round matchup on Thursday or Friday. So instead, we got portal talk and crown talk. So here we go.
Does Aziz get the extra year yet or not? I don't know. They haven't made a decision.
Yeah.
Much like the 5 for 5. Like, I don't know. They haven't made a decision. And the thing is, everything right now is pretty much on hold until this house case is settled. And then I think you're going to see all the other decisions follow after April 7th, because I think they're waiting to see what the structure of the new collegiate world officially looks like before they really do anything else.
Right.
So, those decisions are still off in the distance, I would think.
And we got a few weeks to talk about it, so stay locked in. We'll be bringing you all of that. But guys, without further ado, should we hit a timestamp and we can rock and roll. I think Aaron has a couple riffing with Aaron questions pertaining to the NCAA tournament, maybe West Virginia topics, or I think Aaron's got some good questions lined up. So Chad, take it away.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next-day deliveries. They provide a wide range of food service products, from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Jason Cooper, funny. A couple picklebacks ago, I was talking to myself about the Crown Selection Committee, and I tell you what, John Fanta is a big fan of the Bearcats, but the other 3 people up there on that panel during the selection reveal,
that wasn't the selection committee. That was just
I agree.
Panel.
I'm just saying those guys they knew nothing about college basketball at all. Mark Schlereth, great football player, but
stank.
You can just tell they were just there to roll with it, roll with the punches. So it is what it is. But we got a riff. Chad, take it away, man.
New riff. I'm not there yet. Hold on.
That was my filibuster attempt.
Yeah, I forgot. I had to get there. That's on me.
Innovative.
Yeah, and all that good stuff. Fiercely independent and unabashedly innovative, Aaron. That's what you're looking for. New Rip provides award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin at their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. The Aquafire Tasting Room, located on the 3rd floor of the distillery, features cocktails, flights, and pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery exclusive releases. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% on distillery tours when you use the code Bearcats24. For more information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com.
Boom.
All right. I got questions. You got answers.
Let's roll.
So, in this hypothetical, you are the new GM for the Bearcats men's basketball team. What are the first 3 things you would do as the new GM? for your University of Cincinnati Bearcats men's basketball team.
Okay.
Go ahead. Bro.
Fundraise your ass off.
That's not going to be the job of the GM. That's the AD's job.
It's a job for a lot of GMs out there. So, on the football side, I mean, I was reading.
They don't do anything in fundraising.
I was reading an article that said that there are some GMs that go out there and fundraise. And Duke's GM is a former Nike exec, and I mean, obviously, you've got the situation at Davidson. That's a totally different thing. But I don't know.
Jason and Travis Kelsey, assistant GMs for the Cincinnati Bearcats.
Oh, please. I take that in a heartbeat. Well, no, just get Taylor Swift in there. Just add Pete Swift somehow. Please. That'd be amazing. But no. I mean, in all seriousness, I guess hit all your back channels to, see what players that you might have a previous connection with that might be coming available, whether that's through agents, as Chad was talking about earlier, or through your connections that you made in your upbringing to get to the point where you're at. Then kind of get a pulse on everyone's NIL worth and how much it'll cost to put pieces together that are, that you think is the best to take you over the hump. So that's my 3.
Yeah, I mean that part is going to be really interesting because you don't know, again, there's no salary cap. You don't know what other teams are working with. Like, you don't know what your bidding war is. Like, there's not any market value that is simple, that makes sense, that is a straight line. None of this is linear right now. Yeah. So that is going to be tough for a new GM that has not been in the college space for a while, coming back into the college space and kind of figuring that out. Now, you would hope their connections with the agent world are going to give you a better idea on that. But agents lie because they're trying to get their client the most money. And remember, agents in college are making like 20% of the deal instead of 2 to 5% of the deal.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's insanity. But that's got to be job one, is to figure how much do I have and what does the market actually look like? Like, how much am I paying for a power conference starter? How much am I paying for a guy that's jumping up a level? How much for a guy that's on the NBA radar, but maybe not going to be a draft pick, but it's like potentially like a free agent guy? And if you get them to come back to college, they're going to make more money in college. So what is the going rate on that? Like, understanding the market, I think, is job one. Like, how fast can you figure out what you're dealing with, what the lay of the land is? Because you have to hit the ground running fast, because this thing opens a week from today.
Right.
So you have to be ready. And the one thing I don't like about the Crown, here's the one thing that is going to be an obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
Getting these guys on campus for visits is going to have to be delayed a week. Or at least you're going to have to get guys on campus the 24th until the day you're on a plane to go to Vegas, which I would assume would be the 31st or the 30th. If you play on the 1st, maybe you're going out on the 30th. So you're going to have 6 days to get guys on campus, to get that first wave of free agents, because you're not going to be able to schedule anything until you get back. And then the 4th, I think, starts a dead period for a week after the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
So those first 6 days are going to be critical, because the portal's going to be open and you're going to have your eye on certain things, and you're going to need to get whatever you've got your eye on campus, because then you're probably not, then once you leave and you add in the dead, unless you go and you lose on April 1st and you're back on April 2nd,
Right.
and you got a couple of days before the dead period hits, but like you're going to have to work fast. So that's number 2 is you're going to have to be ready structurally. These are the people we know we're going to target. We know they're entering the portal. We're going to have to get them here before we get out of town, because there's going to be a probably 5-day window where you're not going to be able to host visits because you're out in La La Land or Vegas or whatever, the land
Both.
of the
That works for both.
whatever.
Sin City
Land of
to Sin City. How about that?
Yeah.
Sin
So
City.
that's number 2. And then number 3 that I think people don't put much stock in anymore is you're going to have a pulse on, are there high school guys that maybe you like? Like, I don't think you want to bring in a bunch of them, but with 15, like if there is, maybe we can stash this guy away. Maybe we can, put this guy on ice for a year or let him develop slowly. What are the coaching changes that are happening? What are any potential, okay, we had a relationship with this guy, he's back on the market. Can we get in the mix? So that's probably the third, the farthest from the most important, but I still think it's a factor because that's an untapped area where high school kids become available again, and you want to make sure you've got a leg up on who are they? Are they the right fit? Is it a good situation for us? To avoid the speed dating nature of the portal. The portal is speed dating for sure.
Do you think at all possibility for the foreign side of things as well, or is that, I mean, if you are a GM that has connections to a lot of overseas, programs,
that plays out a little late, like that. There's no NCAA window on that.
Yeah,
right. Like, some of that stuff, a lot of that stuff happens in the summer.
Yeah,
where like, hey, this guy from Germany has decided to come to America. He's going to take a couple visits and commit. That usually happens outside of, I guess, what we would call like NCAA jurisdiction.
Halvin Zella was a very late addition.
Yeah. But I think he was actually, they were trying to get him in at Utah. And I guess because remember, the thought originally was that he was going to have to sit out this year, and Utah wanted a guy that was going to be able to come in and play. So they were in that process with him. But then when that fell through, Cincinnati, because before Tyler McKinley got hurt, they weren't looking for a big to help this year. They were looking for like if we can find a guy and stash him and get him acclimated for a year, then we would kind of handle it that way. So, but that was very late. You're right. That was like late July, early August that Halvin got here.
They were still looking for a big to help in February and March. So weird.
Yeah. Looks like some of the foreign guys are like end of May, early August, looking at Yakachonis at Illinois and Demon at BYU. But obviously you got to have those inroads kind of pretty locked in at that point to land some sort of high level program changing foreign player. So we'll see if that's a possibility. I would love it.
The top 2 positions of need that you want to see for your new additions to the men's basketball team.
I want a scorer, whether it be a 1 or a 2, but I kind of want the 1 to. I mean, if Day-Day's back and Jizzle's back, then I don't know. I definitely want a point guard that kind of just has a little bit more of the point guard tendencies. Point guard
facilitator.
Facilitator. I don't know if that's technically my first pick. I think my first pick is what Chad's been beating the drum on the entire time, and it's a post player that can get you a bucket and grab some rebounds by using his strength, his body, and post moves. I think that's kind of the key to it. So, that would be kind of my first and second pick. But
Four
first,
or five on that.
First being the big man. I mean, give me 4/5. I think you can. Those positions are somewhat interchangeable once you hit that 6'8", 6'9", 230 profile that Chad keeps mentioning. So I agree there.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you can't get pushed around next year. They got punked. They got pushed like at important moments when the chips were down. The other team never had a problem getting an offensive rebound. The other team never had a problem being the aggressor. And a lot of that is because this team just wasn't physically constructed to compete inside at the Big 12 level. They were too thin. They weren't aggressive enough. They weren't attacking enough. And a lot of that is just because even if they had the want to, they didn't have the frame. They didn't have the physicality to actually do it. So that's where it has to start. And I would prefer it be a 4 at that size. So you could have somebody 6'10", 240, like a little bit more of like an enforcer type at the 5.
Yeah.
But you don't get to be picky in the transfer portal to that extent. You go get the guy you can get, and then you piece the rest together. Because I've talked about it, the philosophy of your first 5 guys all get about the same money. That experiment failed.
Yeah.
That experiment put them in a situation before the season, before we knew that a couple guys were going to stagnate or fall off, that they didn't have a top 100 guy. You have to go get 2 top 100 guys. You have to go get 2 top 100 guys, preferably a bucket getting guard and a physical big. But you have to go do that. You cannot once again enter into this league with a lack of top end talent. You're not going to win. You're not going to get over 7 or 8 wins. Unless you do like the weird shit that TCU did this year where they won every home game. They got a pretty favorable home schedule to do that, but you win every home game and then or almost every home game, and then you try to not drown on the road. So that right there is the key to me. Go get 2 top 100 guys. Like you have to have it in this league. You have to have it to get above that 10-win mark, which is where everybody thinks this team needs to get. You cannot go into the year like, oh, we got a bunch of 100 to 175 guys. That's our strategy. That strategy don't work.
Yeah.
Go look at the top teams in the league. All of them had an all-league guy or 2, and Cincinnati did not.
Yeah, that was the main thing that we talked about in the offseason. It was just like, okay, if you don't have a star player, is having multiple star role players enough? And we clearly saw that it was not enough to put you over the hump. So where do you think Abaya fits into that, to the whole scenario, Chad? Is it, because obviously from what we see and high school and OTE, it's high volume score, kind of, obviously you don't want to just say, hey, listen, Sean, we need you hoisting up 30 shots a game and try and be our savior. But I feel like he kind of does fit that role of a 3 that can score. But
you want him to be your 4th guy.
Right.
He's a freshman.
That's what I was
not
that's
BJ
what I was kind of
Edgecombe.
alluding to. Right.
He's your 3rd or 4th option. Like, he is good, but he's not elite lottery pick good. So you have to knock the expectations back a notch or 2 to where you fully believe that Sean Abayev is going to help you, but you're not like Baylor put the weight of their offense really on the shoulders of VJ Edgecombe and said, we'll get you Norchad Omier to be, what was he, like 13, 14, and 8 every night.
Well, I think he ended up double close. Well, like 9 and 9.8 7 rebounds or something like that. So yeah.
But some of that is going to be out of conference where I'm talking about in the league.
Yeah, in the league where
I'm not concerned about the non-conference at all. I'm talking about competing in the Big 12.
Yeah.
That's at the heart of this thing. If you get enough guys that can compete in the Big 12, Brent, the non-con takes care of itself, right?
Yeah. Which, yeah, I'm through with the non-con, kind of what you're saying as well. It's at this point, it's like, okay, the non-con is what it is. Hopefully, you get a couple more challenges that you can be a barometer and get you ready and whatnot. But we've seen it's got to be something to definitely look at. But as far as freshmen go, coming in, I mean, what like Christian Anderson, what's his name from Arizona, just kind of guys that had their bits and pieces. Carter Bryant, I mean, both of them kind of weren't like that high level, but I mean, they were kind of ranked around that same, ranking that Abayev is coming in. So I don't know. I agree though. 4th best in that starting 5 would be ideal. Definitely want my 4 to be able to shoot though. I'm extend out enough, because clogging that lane we've seen has caused some difficulties as well. So
we just can't have your 4 and your 5 both.
Yeah, exactly.
And the last question I have for you guys, the top 3 position battles that raise your eyebrow for spring ball.
I like this. This is right up Chad's alley. Through 3 practices, he knows everything he needs to know about this football team and more.
I hate you. God, I hate you.
Can you break down what you've seen so far that gives you the ultimate returns on the football team?
I can't. The problem they've had for 2 years, wide receiver 2. Like you cannot just have a non-factor at the field side. That's a whole lot of space that teams don't have to worry about if your wide receiver 2 isn't good.
Caleb Gooding's putting on a little bit of a show.
Yeah.
We have seen guys put on a little bit of a show at spring and into summer that by the time October rolled around, we're like, is that guy still on the fucking roster? Over the past few years.
I've done that in game too.
That man D.
Right. Yeah. Oof, boy. Talk about a guy I thought was going to be pretty good that ended up not doing.
I saw a picture of him today. It's still labeled as T. Higgins.
That was wild.
So wide receiver 2 is going to be interesting. Left tackle. The problem is I don't even know if the starting left tackle is on the roster, and neither does the staff. So that one might be more of a
terrifying
all camp, so like a camp situation. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to be like that. I'm giving my answer. You can give yours in a minute.
I'm kind of,
and then edge rusher. Like for me, who is going to be that edge that's going to give them the ability to get some pressure on the quarterback? Because right now, like they're getting more guys that look the part, but it's easier to look the part than it is to go out and be a force getting after the quarterback. So that's one they've been searching for that since the day my J went to the NFL, and they have not come close really in finding it. So yeah, I do think CB2 is important, Brent. I'm sure it might be on your list, but I've got to see them get some pass rush. And who is going to be the guy to step up and do that?
That's why seeing the mention of Marcus Parker, and I'm hoping, like you said, maybe they are currently on the roster. or obviously it's additions through the portal as well on that rush end, but boy, they do need it. I guess CB2, because it's sounding like McDoom was brought in to be that shutdown CB1. I don't know if CB2 will be more by like committee or kind of like what they did last season, or if they're going to be able to kind of hone in and really roll with one particular option. Kind of off the beaten path, but kick return / punt return specialist, like that literally became a part of the game that was just a complete non-factor the last couple of seasons.
It was worse than a non-factor. It was
Yeah,
a negative
exactly.
factor. It was a negative.
2 years ago, no doubt about that. That was that one play against Baylor, the kickoff return, is still going to be one of the more mind-boggling plays to really ever take place that I've seen. But so yeah, just kind of some electricity on the return teams, and we've talked with numerous coaches on that front, and they all seem to agree that they do need a spark in that room. And then I guess Chad picked the tasty low-hanging fruit that I completely agree with. So number 3, let's roll with I guess just how the running back room shakes out. Is it going to be Toby Walker's job? Not Toby Walker.
Tywee
Walker. Jeez, see, mine's on college basketball right now. But or is it going to be, is Pryor going to be able to step up and take kind of a little bit more of a lead role? I obviously it's going to be Tywee and a joint between the two, and then who outside of them can kind of, is it Manny Covey? Is it going to be Trance Williams filing in there? I think it's going to be fun to see who really takes over for Corey Kiner, because I think we're going to see that Corey Kiner is actually a lot more of a beast than we all even really gave him true credit for. Just the ability to get additional yardage that really wasn't there, and things of that sort. So yeah, I think that would be my 3 picks as we roll into the rest of spring.
Thanks for giving me 3 other ones, even though some of yours overlapped. I appreciate that.
I mean, hey, that's what I'm here for.
There's also that one that you were texting me about earlier when you told me that I was going to have to do this.
Yeah. Royer wanted me to ask you about it, but Royer's driving home right now, long road trip. So he said, hey man, I never thought I'd have to drive this long, this far, without talking to you, man. And I said, bro, you can give me a call, but I'm gonna be doing the pod. And he said, well, okay, well then bring up to the pod a long road trip that you might have had that you remember in a car. Maybe a crazy thing happened during this road trip. What's one story that kind of sparks into your mind, whether it be, a weird pullover, maybe a car breakdown? What was a long road trip kind of crazy story that you had to partake in that kind of either haunts you or brings you funny memories up to this point?
Got a good one.
Go ahead.
I don't remember where we were going. I was young. I do remember that my dad, God rest his soul, he had to go to the bathroom and had no idea where he was going to stop to use the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe we were down south somewhere. But we ended up stopping actually at a toilet store. And to this day, he came back and said he used one of the toilets that was on display. I have no idea, and we'll never know because he's no longer with us. But I am not certain if he did number 2 in a toilet that was on display at said toilet store, or if he actually used the bathroom. And truthfully, I don't ever want to know.
Yeah.
I enjoy the unknown that is the fact that my dad actually is crazy enough to have done that, and not have actually gave a damn at all.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I took a lot of road trips, a lot. Like we drove a lot of places over the years.
Right.
UC related. The first one that pops to mind is UC was playing in Nashville. This is when I was I think late teens, early 20s. So like
Okay.
late 90s, somewhere in there. UC's playing in the tournament in Nashville. And my dad that morning is like, "You gonna go?" And it's like a 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock type tip off.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn right I want to go. Like, let's go. So we get in the car and we start driving. And we're driving and we're driving and we're driving. And we stop as we're getting kind of close to the Tennessee border. We stop at a rest area.
Yep.
And my dad goes to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom. While I'm in the bathroom, my dad is out because, you know, they used to have the huge maps. Like because, you know, GPS wasn't a thing at that point in time. They had the huge road maps, and my dad is standing there looking at the road map. And I'm like, something's off. We didn't take 71 towards Louisville to go to Nashville. We stayed on 75 and we're most of the way to Knoxville.
Okay.
And by like at that point in time, he's like, well, like we can't get over there by the time the game starts. So we ended up turning around and coming home so that we could catch the game by the time the game started. But we never made it to that game. Oh,
hey, you know what? It happens. It happens.
It's a story. I still have it. It's still a very good story. One of the other ones would be I had a buddy that right after high school went into the Navy and was in the Navy did his 4 years, whatever, then got married. He was getting married in Vegas and he had not had his car since he graduated high school. So he was like, hey, for my wedding present, can you drive my car to Vegas and I'll pay for your flight home?
Oh, wow.
So me and my buddy, not bad. Yeah. Me and my buddy, John, we're driving his car to Vegas and we're driving through Kansas. And again, prior to having your pocket computer that lets you know everything, we had checked the weather, like everything looked fine, but like 3/4 of the way through Kansas, a surprise snowstorm hit and got to the point that they shut down the highway and like turned us around to drive back to like the nearest little shithole town to get a hotel room and wake up in the morning and carry on. That was like the second time I drove to LA. When I moved to LA, I drove by myself to LA. And I met a buddy of mine in Flagstaff.
Okay.
Like, hey, you're almost LA. We'll meet in Flagstaff. I got some friends at Northern Arizona. We'll party. So I got to Flagstaff like 9 o'clock at night. We got hammered that night. And it was like a 50-degree night. Like it was a pretty nice night. We go back to this girl's apartment he was friends with. We woke up the next day and there was 8 inches of snow. Just from like 4 o'clock in the morning to like 9 o'clock in the morning. We were like, all right, we'll get up at like 9, 10 o'clock, get on the road, make the rest of the trip to LA. We spent the weekend in Flagstaff.
Hell yeah. You have to. What
are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Unexpected.
There's my long road. I could pepper you with many.
I've got a whole gang of them. Yeah. Real quick. I'll pepper. One was, you know, we were heading down to Florida, the whole family. And, you know, it was when my brother, he's a year older than me. He had just recently turned like 16. So he was like, I'll take the little drive from like, you know, Atlanta, and, you know, a good chunk of it. This was at like 4 or 5 in the morning. And, you know, my mom wakes up, she's got to go to the bathroom. And so he's like, can you hurry up to the next exit? I said, yeah, hurry up to the next exit. All of a sudden he puts on the gas and all of a sudden the sirens are going off behind us and he's getting pulled over. Mom can't hold the bathroom. And so it's I think you can put 2 and 2 together as we are all just packed in the car trying to tell the cop, hey, we got to hurry up and get to the next bathroom stop. things didn't go well from there. Just you can finish the story there. Next, real fast, we were coming back from. I actually was watching my buddy play in the TBT. He was playing for Purdue's team over in Columbus. So was just taking in that game. We were driving back, and the car that we were driving back was my sister's, and it completely broke down. Just completely broke down. And we're like right by Dayton pretty much. And driving back to Indy, all of a sudden we had to call up a tow truck, and the tow truck came, picked up the car, drove us all the way to Indy from pretty much Dayton. And I was just riding in the front seat of this tow truck with my sister, her baby, and
large Marge,
and my girlfriend in the back seat. Oh, this driver of the tow truck was unbelievable. He kept talking about how like Burger King has the best onion rings, and he's like, is there a Burger King close to where I'm dropping you guys off at? And I was like, I don't know, man. It's like 3 a.m. So you can try. But yeah, those are my like PG to PG-13 rated stories. The rest are just nuts. But
yeah,
we'll save those for a different time. Yeah, and
all right.
Crypt Keepers did see Bigfoot once at a truck stop. So shouts Crypt Keeper. Love it. Is that it, Aaron?
That's it. Tell them Large Marge sent you.
Tell them Large Marge sent you.
You fit in perfectly for Ryan. Great job. Sad he hasn't called back in, but either way, we carry on. Quick paper supply.
Hold on. Switch.
There we go.
Timestamp brought to you by Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom. So I'm thinking we dive into the mailbag because obviously, Chad, there's not too much more that you can really quite say about the first week of practices in football. There's gonna be more to really dive into when they come back from spring break. I guess just a quick comment, if you have any, on new hire, director of sports science, Jason Stone, that was announced through UC today. Obviously, just vamping up even more, additional help for getting everything in line with the football program. Gonna be interesting to see what all they're able to add in that front. So without further ado, then I think it's time for Aaron to keep asking us more questions as we enter the mailbag. But real quick, I saw some mentions in the chat about some stupidity amongst the selection committees. You guys went on a nice rant last night about the North Carolina situation. Obviously, the AD, I think he makes an extra $120 whenever if his team makes the tournament. So that's a nice little
not 120,
120,000, if you will.
Yeah, there's 3 zeros after that 120.
I know I was speaking in layman's terms, but the other scenario is the whole South Alabama debacle at the NIT. I got a buddy that works in the NCAA, and he just said, boy, they are getting ran over right now with both of those situations that took place. I saw West Virginia's looking to take legal action against the selection committee or something like that. I just, the whole thing is pretty interesting as the cookies continue to crumble. But anything on those fronts, guys? I mean, obviously, it's just podcasting, sports podcasting.
Not really. I mean, Aaron,
we discussed it last night. I mean, it stinks that you have to even think that it's rigged for whoever's on the committee. I don't understand why you have to put a committee together of people who are literally employed by these universities. I think that there's enough people out there who are knowledgeable of college basketball. Just put together a bunch of bracketologists. They do this shit all year. have Yahoo's bracketologist and ESPN's bracketologist and Fox's bracketologist and make a show of it. Who cared? And have it simulcast across all of the networks. I don't care. Like
that would ruin the big reveal, Aaron. The big reveal.
The big reveal would be the show of them arguing about who's making it.
The big reveal is pretty awesome. I cannot lie. I love it. It's lost a little luster because we haven't really been in it for less.
Not for West Virginia when Texas and North Carolina are making it.
I would be beside myself if that was Cincinnati in that exact scenario. Like, real tears coming out, and then real anger.
I do love the idea of putting together 12 bracketologists, like 12 people that don't have a tie. Like Bubba Cunningham got $100,000 bonus because North Carolina made the tournament. Yeah. Whether it made an impact or not, that's disgusting. The guy is on the committee in control of his team being in or out. They get in, and he gets $100,000 bonus. That is an impropriety that you cannot have happen in the sport. Like
watching from behind the glass walls, like
like you can't. The integrity of your sport is at risk when something like that happens. And if you look at almost every controversial selection over the past 20 years, you can trace it to somebody on the committee. Everyone. So that part of it is fixable. It doesn't have to be ADs and conference commissioners. There is enough information now, but here's the problem. They want that. They want the moving target, because if you get a group of 12 of the 12 best bracketologists and you put them in a room and you say, these are the criteria, they will follow the criteria to a T. But when you do what they're doing, that's why, West Virginia, how are we going to fuck West Virginia? DeVries. Yeah, the guy got hurt. They had a guy hurt, right? Oh, yeah. When was that? Game 8. Close enough. Fuck them. That's how they've always played the shell game. Yeah. Well, this year we had the focus was on da-da-da-da-da. And, next year, you can always take whatever metric you like to make it work for what you need to get done. I do think it played a factor in Xavier getting in. Now, they got in 3 spots ahead, but if you're going to get North Carolina in at 1-12 in quad 1,
you have to have another one.
Put the team that's 1-9 ahead of them, and you go, look, we put Xavier in ahead of North Carolina. That's not a knock on Xavier. Like, the bubble is what it is. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody that was on the bubble was questionable in some way, shape, or form, but you build cover. When you put Xavier in at 1-9 in quad 1, well, now we can sneak North Carolina in that last spot at 1-12. Like, it's just moving things around to make them fit whatever the narrative is that year.
I also really love the idea of anyone who was a bubble team needs to be a play-in game, not putting these teams that won their conference champion or their conference tournament as play-in teams at 16. No, put in all of your garbage bubble teams that probably didn't, if they deserved this last thread chance, then put them in the play-in games. I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, and I think obviously they're going to do the thing where they add more teams, obviously, because money. So I think that might be a certain scenario close down the road. But another thing for me is the fact that, yes, like you guys are mentioning, that they mentioned, North Carolina had good metrics and, good wins above bubble and, things of that.
A new metric they introduced this year, wins above bubble.
Right. And then they said, and also they had 0 losses in the quad 2. They were perfect 8-0 in the quad 2. It's like, okay.
Their quad 2 games were trash.
It's like, that's awesome, man. They had 1 win in quad 1, and it was UCLA on a neutral court. So, I mean, what are we?
But they needed a miracle comeback to even accomplish.
And it's just like I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. So when they said the Tucker DeVries thing, it's like, oh wow, they're really going to say that. I guess.
I mean, that's the biggest problem with it is there's no consistency year over year. It is this year. This is the narrative that won out. So then, because we have to stick to it, and now, like, you should know when you build your non-conference schedule, when you build your team, what are the things it takes to be selected into the NCAA tournament. But because
SEC.
you don't know, be in the SEC or the Big Ten. That's what you have to do.
Like 14 or 16 teams is wild.
Bananas.
Frighteningly in that direction where those, I mean, I think there's a question in the mailbag, but where those two conferences literally are daddy and everybody else is stuckling at the teat.
We were so close to being at the table. So close.
We're so close. And then the South Alabama thing is
always move.
They always do. But the South Alabama thing also is just nuts. They NIT extends an invite to them, and then they take away the invite because UC Riverside initially accepted the CBI invitation, but then said, no, we're going to actually play the NIT. So then the NIT had to tell South Alabama, hey, sorry, but you guys are no longer invited to the NIT. Like, that is bonkers. Especially for like
Miami getting left out over a Kent State team they beat 3 times and finished ahead of in the MAC.
I mean, another bonkers. Like, I don't know. And yet again, the NIT is run by the NCAA, so it's a scenario where they're just getting ransacked with these decisions. But hey, it's March, baby, and madness is involved in March. So
but that's the saving grace for the tournament, because every year there's a reason to be like, some years way more than others. Some years you look back at it and you go, I don't have any, like, maybe there's one team here and one team there, but like, that's splitting hairs. But then guess what? Tuesday night, tournament starts, and it's off the table. Nobody's talking about it anymore.
All is forgotten, forgiven.
Yeah.
Moving on. Mailbag. Starting off in the football portion. Will the Big 12 be having a combined pro day for the whole conference again this year, or will the schools be going back to individual events? What do you think the chances of John, Luke, and Corey all being drafted next month? What do you think the chances of
John, Luke, and Ezekiel, or Corey?
John, Luke, and Corey all being drafted.
Yes, the Big 12 is having a combined pro day again. John, Luke, and Corey were all invited to the combine. That is usually a pretty good sign. The only thing I worry about is just because it's running back, you worry about Corey a little bit. But it, I didn't see anything that was too damning on John Williams and Luke Kandra. That
was Corey.
That was Corey.
Yeah.
Corey, people were like dinging him for his 40 speed, and we were all like, no, that was pretty good. Sub 4.6, like he was moving.
Yeah, I think, and then you saw a whole narrative on X.com, the Everything app, talking about how it like running back is a different, scenario where you got to judge it more on tape and not just workout numbers. So that narrative's floating out there for Corey. So I think that helps his case a little bit. But I'm interested to see John, where John Williams starts cropping up on some of these mock drafts and things like that. Because I do think Luke will get drafted pretty high. But I mean, it seems like John Williams put up some damn good numbers as well for himself. So I think all three get drafted. I'm just interested to see how high John does go. And then that, of course, the Big 12 Pro Day is this week. And it's what I was looking at the report, 1 to 4 on Wednesday and Thursday. So there you go.
All right. That's the football portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the basketball portion. I know the players are on spring break now, but what are the rules on how much court/practice time the team would have been permitted to use the rest of the semester, and how does accepting an invite to the Crown change that?
So generally what it goes back to like workouts, where you get 4 hours a week with the coaches, like if your season is over. 4 hours a week with the coaches and 4 hours a week with the strength coach until the end of the semester. And then when the semester ends, you have to wait to start up your summer program in July. If you got to play, you get your 20 hours a week for everything. So that would be the big difference. It's not like, I know it's different. Like when people talk about bowl practices, like you get 15 bowl practices, like 8 or 9 of them are not used in preparation for the bowl. They're used to get young guys reps. They're like, most of your valuable guys aren't even doing anything at those practices. Like they're just on the sideline watching.
Mm-hmm.
For this, it's not like you're trying to duct tape a roster together. Like you're not worried about development. You're worried about, all right, let's get as ready as we can to go out there and play DePaul. So they're very different. It's 2 very different situations. But 8 hours when you're in workout mode, 20 hours when you're still like in your season, playing in tournament or whatever.
How can the NCAA have different eligibility rules in different sports if all student athletes are the same? I would love that postseason wouldn't count against red shirts. Only person who would allow us to play is Anthony, but still.
Because every sport is governed differently, because there's not a czar of college sports. Like essentially what it comes down to is the coaches of each sport are generally the ones that dictate rule changes like that. So football wanted it, basketball didn't. So because in football there's a lot more development. You have a lot, like normally you're redshirting 20 guys. If you had a 25 person class, you're redshirting 18 to 20 guys. This was an opportunity to get those guys, especially going into the NIL and the portal era, to say to those guys, hey, we want you to be a part of this. We're going to get you out there and get you ready for your freshman year next year. Basketball, like 1 or 2 freshmen anymore. Yeah. Teams do not have those 4, 5, 6-man freshman classes like they used to, where you're going to have a couple guys that need a year or 2 to develop. It would be nice if you could get them some games, but nobody in basketball is pushing for that. Football is pushing for it. So that is, on a larger scale, the answer to the entire question. Each sport, the coaches kind of do their role in governing said sport. And that means that you have a bunch of sports that have entirely different rules, because there is no common sense that bubbles everything.
And that's all without mentioning that different conferences have different rules when you really get into the nitty-gritty of it.
Yeah.
Do you think draft eligibility has anything to do with it as well? Where, like football, you can't leave after your freshman year, obviously, and kind of playing into your development comment that you made. And then basketball, you can leave right after your freshman year.
That would require the coaches to give a shit about the kids.
Right.
And so ultimately, no, I don't think it has that much of maybe a little fraction of a piece.
Right.
But they say they have the best interest of the kids in mind, until it's the best interest of keeping my job in mind.
Truth.
Man,
that's right.
Chad catching everybody with the Boondock Saints strays. All right.
There was a firefight.
I watched it yesterday. Has UC taking the Crown invite ruined our chances for success next season? I ask somewhat sarcastically, but also for other posters.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
100%.
Sure. I probably would just take next year off.
There's no chance we will add anyone in the portal at all.
or we're going to be definitely recruiting whoever we play in the crown. So
but those are going to be all mostly Power 5 schools, Aaron. So you'll just be getting Power 5 transfers.
But first up, DePaul. Who's on your squad, DePaul?
But
we want to know.
They could be like in a weird way, someone that's already entered the portal and is not participating in the crown tournament.
Or they've entered the portal and they are participating in the crown tournament, Brent.
I just want to know.
That's a new meaning to the handshake line, right?
This crown is nuts.
I just want to know why they're not bringing guys on their official visits to Vegas. Because the malarkey could take place.
Aaron, I got it.
Here we go.
If you play a team that has a kid that's in the portal but plays in the handshake line, you put the crown on him and he's yours.
Wow. I like this. Like a team-based crown that has like your team logo.
Every team gets one crown.
Wow.
And in the handshake line, you're allowed to crown somebody, and then they just go home with you. They're on your team now.
Get Fox on the phone.
That's must see. That's must see TV.
Yeah. Right. I think I'm onto something here.
I mean,
this might be the best idea I've had in a long time.
This is the beginning of the TBT, like those first years of the TBT vibe to it, you know? Like when Barstool had a team, like it's like, oh, the crown. What are these squads going to look like?
This might be the best idea I've ever had.
Wow.
You get one, and you don't want to use it too early, right? Because
Wes would definitely use it too early. Wes would definitely. He'd fall in love with someone too soon.
But what happens if you're the losing team and you crown somebody on the winning team, and now that player can't play the rest of the tournament because they have to get on the plane and go home with you?
If you lose, I don't think you get a crown.
Yeah, because you're like, you know, like you're in the handshake line. And like you think everything's over, and then all of a sudden, like Fox like zooms in. They're like, "What is this? Wes Miller's bringing out the crown." And then like he puts it on someone's head.
So you're saying you think that if you lose, your crown is out. You don't get to use your crown. Gone. You can only use the crown after a win.
Yeah.
Handshake line after a win. Yeah. You get to crown somebody on the losing team, and they're yours to keep.
Yeah, and the crown is made by AI. So like. Right when you lose, you're holding the crown and it just evaporates in AI and it's just no longer there. The other team's carrying the crown around like this. Right, Aaron?
I think we're onto something. Get Fox on the horn, Brent.
I have Fox's number. His first name is Michael, but I can give him a call.
I thought it was Brian.
Brian Fox. Yes. Gosh, good.
Have you heard any rumors on the Thanksgiving Vegas tournament that was mentioned on here?
No, I have not asked anybody. Look, the 2025-6 schedule has not exactly been spent much time asking about at this point. I'm sure at some point here when the season is actually complete, I will start getting to questions about the next season, but I know I have a giant head, but I only have so much brain capacity that I can't ask everything all the time. So I don't know anything yet. Yeah.
Huge brain in there.
Should we just get used to the SEC and Big Ten controlling both football and now basketball for the foreseeable future? They're big time in us.
Yes. They have the most money. They have the most power. They are going to wield that power accordingly.
Yeah. And I think the other parties involved understand that too. And they know that the thought of losing them in any capacity, which I don't think would be possible, could just hurt it even more. But yes, they are starting to become I like it. Put it up on the screen. Say it out loud.
The losing coach has to get a tooth removed and a crown added. I just think of Joe Pesci in Home Alone.
Yeah.
And it's got to be by a title sponsor of the crown tournament.
It's got to be visible too, like one of your eye teeth, like nothing, like none of these molars in the back, like
yeah.
Got to be something up front. That'll keep you from playing in the crown next year. Like if you know you got to get another tooth pulled, I'm not going back. You can't make me.
No. You have to remember.
I'm not
You are
going
tuned
back.
into the conference. You must go.
Going to the Crown's like prison.
Unreal.
Yeah, Kevin, I was gonna make that toothpaste connection of Colgate. Golly, I hate that game.
Over under on 3.5 of these 5 players coming back for 25-26 season. McKinley, Day Thomas, Jizzle James, Dylan Mitchell, Josh Reed. It's an awful lot of silence for the radio.
It's either 3 or 4.
That's why they put it at 3.5.
A good line. I'm saying it's a good line.
Be live from Vegas. Good line. He's already out there.
I'll guess under. My instincts say over at 4. My skepticism for all things Portal says take the under.
Get him out of here. I want 2 at most.
Aaron, let the children sing. Yeah.
There's better kids. Please provide your thoughts and comments on the fact that the Crown included 15th place Arizona State and 16th place dead last Colorado in the tourney. Both teams are 6 games under 500. Sheesh.
Higher net rankings. That's it. And what, they can only be from those 3 conferences plus the Mountain West, I believe.
No, you can be from anywhere.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just whoever Fox has.
No,
with.
I don't think it's only that. I think it's open to other entities. But the teams that Fox has under contract obviously get first run at filling up the 16-team tournament.
Okay.
I think they got down to those 2 teams, asked them if they wanted to play, and they said yes.
Yeah.
And also, they're not 15th and 16th place in the net, and that is a factor in the process. So, money talks. How about that, Killer B? Money talks.
Should let South Alabama in. If you had to guess, who do you think is available for the Crown?
I think we kind of touched on this. I'll guess. I don't know for sure because these are still ongoing. I will guess Day, Jizzle, Josh, Aziz, Ray, Halveen. It's at 6.
Demos?
I don't. That's a shoulder. Like, I don't know for sure if he's going to want to risk the shoulder. Who am I missing?
Josh,
Betsy.
Tyler Betsy, I think will play. Whether he stays or not, I think is still up in the air. But my understanding is he intends on playing in this tournament either way. I don't know for sure what Dylan is thinking. I don't know for sure what Dan is thinking.
As far as that 7 goes, like, do they have to be there, suited up, absolutely can play? Okay, I just didn't know, like, if like you put Frederick in a jersey and he's just records 0 minutes in the game or something like that.
I think that would be frowned upon. And I think if it took CJ Frederick to get to 7, they would tell them we can't play because we only have 6.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so gosh, this damn tournament. Fascinating.
I feel like I'm forgetting somebody.
It's fine. Mostly for Chad. In honor of transfer portal season, what is your favorite UC transfer story and why is it Jay Sorolla?
It is always Jay Sorolla, and it will always be Jay Sorolla. Well, Jamari Strickland is close. Jay Cirola, for those that don't know, just got fed up and got on Craigslist and sold all his stuff on Craigslist in Chicago. He got in his car, he drove to Chicago, he sold all his stuff, and he bought a plane ticket back to Spain with the money from selling all his stuff. And literally, he did that in the middle of the night, and everybody woke up the next day, and Jay Cirola was just gone. And actually,
left his car.
The info, no, he sold his car.
Oh, I thought he left his car at the airport.
No, he drove his car to Chicago, sold all of his stuff, and then got on a plane and went back to Spain.
It's fantastic. So funny.
The Jamari Strickland one. So I guess Jamari wasn't how's a good way to put this? He wasn't from a strict household. So every time Mick would try to coach him, Jamari would talk back. And that's the last thing you can do when Mick Cronin is trying to coach you. Like, he had to get the last word in. Mick would tell him something, and he always had to, like, well, yeah, I knew that. No, I got that. Like, and Mick would tell him, shut up, just shut up. Let me coach you, and then go do it. And he did it one day to the point that Mick just told the student manager to go pack his bags and book a flight and send him back to San Francisco. And that is exactly what happened. And we never saw Jamari Strickland again.
Yeah. Is this future Villanova head coach Mick Cronin?
Did that?
Is Villanova going to pay $10 million to get him away from UCLA?
Rumblings.
I mean, it's out there, but it's $10 million.
Cat, going back to your 7 that I think you were struggling to get with Day, Jizzle, Reed, Aziz, Halveen, and then Rayvon and Tyler Betsy. 7?
Yeah, that's 7.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident in those 7.
We're trying to get that. Yeah.
There's like 2 to 3 more that are still in the decision-making process.
Yeah.
Any chance UC looks to add an NBA guy to help with player development?
I don't. That's difficult to do because those guys usually make a lot of money. So if they're employed by an NBA team, like a player development guy, they're not many of them dropping down to the college level because it's a lot less hassle to be in the NBA and a lot more stable. So maybe they look at it. I just don't think it's something that happens often.
And if UC wins the crown, are you buying a crown championship shirt?
Yes.
If someone buys
definitely
me one,
is.
Someone buys me one, I'll wear it.
The inaugural crown tournament. Like, think about that. Could be a cool shirt. About 25.
The C-paw with a crown crooked dangling off it.
Okay. Champs. Oh, it
Gross.
spells out champs with the C-paw.
So gross.
With the C-paw, and the one paw is holding the crown.
Yeah.
Off to the side.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Dunking Bearcat rocking a crown?
Ooh.
Or dunking into a crown?
Ooh. Look at us. Who would have thought? The crown.
Home field.
Give us a call.
Hit me up. I got you.
That is the end of the basketball portion. There were no baseball questions because they had a stinker of a weekend. Moving on to the banks. What would be your drink of choice for St. Patrick's Day? Harp, Guinness, Redbreast 12-year, or a combo like a black and tan, or an Irish Slammer, a.k.a. Irish Car Bomb?
You like a good Glenlivet 15? Crown champions written in crayon for this elementary tournament. I'll go like a Glenlivet 15, something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
A good,
Yeah.
just to give me a good scotch. I like a good scotch.
Yeah, Guinness. I'm there with you, Aaron. And boy, those Guinnesses in Ireland taste they hit different. They hit absolutely different. But yeah, Guinness. I love a good pickleback, man. I tell you what, I don't know what it is. Love a
You're
good
so
pickleback.
gross. You're so gross.
But yeah,
Disgusting.
I pounded quite a lot of red breast 12-year and even some other years that were just that some insane friends of mine were wild and purchased. So yeah, I like a good red breast as well. Not a huge Jameson guy, but pickleback I can do.
I have zero issue taking breaks between drinking Guinness to have an Irish car bomb and then go back to Guinness. So I'm just saying it's
yeah. Had a few of those this weekend. Quite a few.
And the last question in the mailbag: what is your favorite secular drinking holiday? 4th of July, St. Patty's, Cinco de Mayo, New Year's, Halloween, etc.
I'm not a holiday look. Us veterans don't need a holiday, right? Like I'm not much of a holiday drinker. I usually
it's a nice Friday night. Yeah, that's a holiday.
I'm usually I take the holidays off. I let the amateurs drink on the holidays. I'll just go on just give me a random Tuesday that I don't have anything to do the next day.
I'm all for the amateur hour D, all of the above.
Oh yeah. I tell you what, Cinco de Mayo is fun.
If I had to pick one, Cinco de Mayo, just because I can drink Corona, like I can drink 1,000 Coronas.
All those are fun, but man, St. Patrick's Day that hits different. Just with the NCAA tournament, conference tournaments, just that whole entire scenario falling right in line. The greatest time of the year in my book.
Is that an Irish pillow behind your shoulder back there on the bed?
Those are some Irish beads I received. I'm not going to say what I did for them, but Irish beads I received over the weekend that I put on the pillow as a little added festivity, if you will, for St. Patty's Day today. Chad, you can come back in. But
I want no part of that.
Safe to say that Paige is not going to be playing, considering he didn't play in the actual tournament games of the Big 12 tournament. I think it's probably safe.
There I am on a road again. There I am. Turn the page.
That's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
Hey, a good weather outside, like nice weather outside. That's when you throw in a little 4th of July. It's a little hot on 4th of July, though. You got to be around water. Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day weekend, kind of throw those in there as well. You get the start of football from one, you get the Indianapolis 500 for the other. It's just there's so much beauty in just a fun festival. Just give me anything. Give me anything. And today's St. Patty's Day. We made it through a BBP on St. Patty's Day, live from the Cincy Light Studios. We did it. Chad, thank you, my man, for coming on. Aaron, thank you for coming on. Who's this? Is this Royer calling in to get on the air? No, it's not. Ryan, we missed you. We missed you.
Broken promises.
We missed you, buddy. But you know what? The crown has been accepted. It's not for a few weeks from now, so or 2 weeks to be technical. So April Fool's Day. Don't be fooled. They will be playing. A lot can happen between now and then.
Again.
So stay locked into everything on the BCJ network. But for my guys, the crew, for Danco Transmission out of here, for Quick Paper Supply, for New Riff, good job, Aaron, filling in. You've made it my second favorite segment of the year. And without further ado, for Aaron Smith and for Chad Brentle, I'm Brent Young. Yet again, another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!